Hi and welcome back to On the Water Flies. Today we're going to be tying a pattern that I came across online. It's the pheasant tail variation, a variation in between the American pheasant tail nymph and the flashback pheasant tail. So for this we are going to be using just regular pheasant tail fibers, some crystal flash, some small purl Lurex. We're doing this on a size 16 with a brass tungsten bead. You're also going to need peacock herl, and we are using brown thread for this pattern. So to start off, you're going to work your thread onto the shank of the hook a little farther back than normal. What's going to happen is when the fly is finished, the bead is actually going to be sitting about right there, and everything else is going to be tied off over the top of the bead near the eye of the hook. But for now you can just keep your bead towards the eye of the hook. Let me turn this hook so the bead doesn't keep jumping back. Go ahead and cut off your tag end. And you want to work your thread pretty far down the bend of the hook. From here, we're going to tie in some of this purl Lurex. Now you don't necessarily need this along the back of the hook like doing a flashback all the way up the body. We're not doing a flashback all the way up the body. We're actually going to be wrapping the purl Lurex around the pheasant tail. So then go ahead and take your wire, get that tied in. You're going to take about 6 or so pheasant tail fibers. 6 or 7, I think I have 7 here. You're going to do a fairly short tail, probably no longer than your shank of the hook. Makes it a little bit difficult to grab in with how far back on the hook we are. Once you have that tied in, just go ahead and bring your thread up to about the point of your hook. Actually, just to get it out of the way, we're going to bring it all the way up to the front. Just go ahead and work your pheasant tail around the shank of the hook. Just do a couple of wraps just to get it locked in place, and you can cut off your stems. From here, we're going to be taking the purl Lurex. We're going to be wrapping this and just do some wraps to the lock that into place. And cut off the excess. Now you want to take your wire and you're going to wrap your wire opposite direction you wrapped your pheasant tail and your purl Lurex. Just helicopter off your excess wire. That way you're not dulling your scissors. So from here, we're going to take another good chunk. Before we get to... Sorry, I kind of got ahead of myself. I want to tie in the pheasant tail for the shell back. For the wing case. Sorry. But we want to tie in our crystal flash first. So for this you're going to take about 4 or 5 strands and just fold them in half and tie in right where you folded them in half. Once you have those tied in, grab another good chunk of pheasant tail fibers. These I'm just going to tie in at the tips. And then you're going to take 1 or 2 peacock herls. Sorry, let me redo the pheasant tail there. They apparently wanted to slide out on me. So let's get those back in. You can tie them in by the tips or the snip butt ends. Let me try doing it from the butt ends. Might have a little better grip for me. Get in here so I can still get my bead head slid back. Alright. Sorry, my camera doesn't want to focus. Let's readjust that. Once you have those pheasant tail fibers tied in, go ahead and tie your peacock herl in. At this point, I just move the bead back to where I want it. Do a few thread wraps in front, and I jump the thread back behind the bead. And just wrap your peacock herl around the thorax. If you have a long enough strand, you can kind of go back and forth, adding bigger thorax to that. And just do 3 turns to lock it into place. You can break off the tip, and you're going to jump your thread back in front of the hook eye, or not the hook eye, but the bead. From here, you're going to take your pheasant tail, you're just going to go ahead and tie these in. At this point, highly recommend taking your hook, moving the lure or the fly back so it leans back so your thread doesn't jump off over the hook of the, or the eye of the hook. And from here, you're going to take your crystal flash, you're going to kind of pull it up a little bit. Actually, it's a little more difficult because that crystal flash is very slick, so your thread always wants to come off a little bit. So let's just do a 3-turn whip finish just to keep our thread into place. And you can make adjustments and try to split your crystal flash back like they're legs. Build up a little bit of a thread head there. And then just kind of just poke myself in the finger with the hook point. Just pull them all back. Just trim off the butts so you kind of make little legs with the crystal flash. Way too much. And I got 4 on one side, 5 on the other. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't like how this one hunk of crystal flash is sticking down. Let's go ahead and trim that out. And there you have the Trina's Bubbleback Emerger. Like I said, it's a variation of the pheasant tail nymph, the American pheasant tail nymph, and the flashback pheasant tail nymph. Thank you for joining us today on the Water Flies, and I will see you next time.